Let's talk about the signal path. I made an initialize patch, and how I like to see this synthesizer is that the master volume, I tend to put it at 3 o'clock, so I don't push it too hard. I leave the distortion at 0. But when it comes to the amp, you have the mount here. This is a volume knob for the program. I tend to put that around 3 o'clock also. A little bit lesser perhaps. And you can adjust this at the last step. And now, let's say that we want to make a sawtooth. I put it 1 octave down. Here you have the mixer. So imagine that the volume is flowing in this direction from the oscillator to the mixer. And then when you put, let's start at 12 o'clock. And we add, if I push it too hard, what happens here is that this will give a lot of energy, audio energy, into the filter. And when this happens, something really nice happens. The analog filter begins to saturate. But sometimes it can be a bit too much. So let's start at 12. And we start the oscillator 2 at 12 o'clock also. And we put this 1 octave down also. Now we have 2 sawtooth, creating a wave beat. We can detune it a bit. And now when we select between our 3 different filters we have on this synthesizer, keep in mind that these filters will behave differently depending on how much input volume the filter gets. It's not the same like if you are on the first one, change to the second one and the third one. It won't be the same sound. And some filters are a little bit more sensitive for overloading, I think. I think the 4-pole ladder filter gets a bit sensitiver more sensitive than the Prophet 6 filter. But we start here. So let's listen to this simple filter sweep. Take a listen around this part. It's not so much distorting. But if I start to push the levels too high, can you hear how it changed to becoming a bit uncontrolled and distorting? Here, I would say, it feels like we are losing the dynamics. By backing off a bit, this sounds so much nicer to me. This sounds a bit warmer, but of course, if you really want to push it, the synthesizer allows you to do it. And if we are going to make the classic, adding some contour, some envelope generator to the filter, here I think it makes a big difference now, depending on how much you saturate the filter by loading it with the input signal from the oscillators. And remember also that when you program a Pro 3 synthesizer, the filter amount knob, it behaves, I would say, very different from other synthesizers. This one is not really, I would say that sometimes I don't like it, but you need to be very sensitive here, because it's like a big bump how much it's jumping. But that's only if you are coming from other synthesizers. This will feel a bit different, but it's not bad, definitely not. But if you pay attention to that part, how you set the amount, you will also be much able to control the sound in a much behaved way. Okay, now we change the filter a bit here. Let's leave it there. Let's see if I can put an arpeggiator, because I don't want to play that much. I want to make it play by itself. Was some time since I was using this synthesizer, so I'm not really, there is the arpeggiator, I'm not really accustomed to it. So let's change BPM a bit down. If you now listen to the, use your ears and listen how the contour is in the sound. Now take a listen if I really push the input too much to the filter. Do the same thing now. Can you hear how different it sounds now? I would say it doesn't sound good to my ears. But some might like that, and that's okay. I mean, it's okay. But if we lower the input volume to the filter a bit, now you have a complete different synthesizer. It's not the same in the sound anymore. And that's what I like about the Pro 3. It's not that one option is impossible, the other one is correct. It's more like it allows you to do crazy things. If you push the input, that might be good in some other occasion, but it not be the best in other occasion. And that's what I think people are getting this synthesizer all wrong. And we have a drive also to the filter, so you can add some extra drive to the signal. If we turn that up a bit, that drives the filter in a good way. Importantly to know, I think many of you already know this, is that when you have a ladder filter and you add resonance, what happens is that the lower frequencies will be reduced. This synthesizer has a ladder filter compensation that if I increase the resonance point, it won't drop the lower frequencies. But in filter miscellaneous, you can turn this on or off. There it lost the bottom part. There it has the bottom part. And so my point is that as long as you don't overdo the distortion, you don't overdo the volume, you're not overdoing the input to the filter, and you're a bit kind to the output there, and you will have a much more pleasant sound to it. And if you're not happy over the levels that's coming out, I want you to compare another synthesizer that you have to see how much the output level is on that one in the mixer of your audio card, and then try to match it with this one and try to get the levels as equal as possible, and you will notice that you are having the levels much lower than you would normally have. So what I want to arrive with that is that if you're making audio design, please be very careful with the input if you want to make good sounds with it that people really likes, or else you will end up with a ton of distortion. And also take a note of that if you're opening up like all three oscillators, remember that all the gain from these oscillators become a sum into the filter, so it can be better to drop down the volumes a bit overall if you're going to have all three oscillators, or else you will end up smashing the filter completely. Let's smash the filter and see how it sounds like. You know, some love that sound, but I think it's too much. Just imagine if we are adding some chorus to it also. How nice wouldn't that be? I like to put chorus around 50, I guess it's around 50 and 50 on all the parameters. imagine if we make a perfect fifth. You get the idea. Now we smash the filter again. Can you hear how the dynamic is killed? You don't feel the contour in the audio anymore. Now you hear them. It's like seeing a landscape of hills and valleys, you know. I mean, you hear the peak, you can feel the audio if you try to visualize it in your mind. So, to sum it up, I think that this is what I think lies, where the problem lies when it comes to why it's not that super selling synthesizer. Perhaps it's selling a lot, but I mean, when I looked at the statistics, like every time I've been looking at Thomann, it seems like it's not having that super high selling ranks. I might be wrong, but I have a feeling that this synthesizer might be the synthesizer that gets super popular in future when it happens, if it happens or when it happens, when it goes out of production. Because it's often like that. Synthesizers that are misunderstood. You have the TB303, for example, from Roland. No one understood it. It was really not used in the right way. But then people really started to use it and find out like, you should use it in that way. That's really cool. And then it was, no one found them. You know, it was super rare to find them and they became so expensive. I think this one might have the possibility to get the same effect in the future, because I think that it's not really understood how much possibilities you have in it. I mean, just look at it. You have a modulation source, a sequencer that you can add a modulation to each step, and it's 16 steps times 4 in sequence. And when you make a song in your favorite DAW, for each step you can make the synthesizer changing its parameters, and you can change so many parameters in the modulation section with it. So, and you have 2 auxiliaries. The only downside would be that this is a paraphonic synthesizer, but paraphonic synthesizer are known for having the characters and the quirkiness that is really fun to use. And when I need to make a sound that I have in my mind that doesn't require any chords, this is the one that solves every difficult sound I have in my mind that needs so much complex structure. No other synth can do it. In fact, I think that this is the synth that I'm willing to buy one extra of these just to be safe to have one in the future. And I think in getting the standard edition. And of course they're a little bit more pricey now compared to how it was some years ago, but that's inflation and all these things, so it's the same for every synthesizer. What I want to know in the comment, if you've been listening till the end, what do you think about this synthesizer? Do you think that it requires some good, extra careful made custom patches? Do you think it's like, what I think personally, I think that the people that see the potential in this synthesizer were buying them, and that group was the leading group of buying this synthesizer. I have a Pro 2 also. They are so different. I tend to use this way more when it comes to analog sound design, but the Pro 2 is amazing also. That's a synthesizer I really hope they make remastering on. That would be so cool to see. Yeah, enough tech talk. And remember, input signal is very important, and the filter behaves different depending on They are different sensitive when it comes to that. And that knob for the filter envelope amount, that one you need to be a little bit extra careful with to fine tune it. And then at last you have the amount there. You don't need to go full output from the amplifier. That's okay. I put it normally around 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock, around there. And you should be fine. Now you know what you can listen on and how to listen. I'm sure that it opens up a new world of how to create sounds and what to listen for.